$400 is kind of low, right? From January, March, and February, or the 3 months when I did my financial mirror, right? This is what I calculated income minus expenses to be 600. So, I'm going to say fuck it. I'm going to do 550. No, I'm going to do 555 because that's a nice number. All right. And we should push it. We should push it even more. We should do 600. We should do 600. Yeah, why not? I remember when I was doing that and when I was editing it afterwards, there was a different feeling that I had when I was actually just about to make the decision to set up the automation to put $600 in as an automatic payment. That feeling that I had at that time was very different from the feeling that I had when I was editing the video, and now it's like it doesn't even exist anymore. There was a fear that I had internally when I wanted to implement this method, and the fear was basically based around, well, what if it's too much? What if it's too much and it doesn't work out, and my spending's too high, and all these things, like, they don't work? This is what I was fretting over, right? That was it. And it's only been like a month or 2 months. This is now the second month, I think, since I've set that up. And I've not thought about it very much at all since then. And in fact, it's not really mattered. I feel like I could have even gone more. And I probably will go more because I was just thinking about this. But if I do a balance transfer onto another card, whatever I'm paying in interest, that's going to decrease my expenses. I can put that additional $160 into this. So yeah, I can go higher. I can go higher than this even. But I realized that when I was doing this, and I felt that thing, that this is a topic worth talking about and like making an entire video about, because the concept of pay yourself first, or in this case is pay your creditors first, is one of the most important, I think, concepts when it comes to winning with money. And if you just do this thing alone and you forget all the other things, everything else, like, you don't even worry about investing, you don't worry about interest rates, you don't worry about saving or whatever. If you're just in this mindset of pay yourself first, just keep a little bit for yourself, for your future, then you're going to be ahead of like the average person's financial situation. And that's because most people don't do this. Like, there's a saying that if you leave your money in the bank account, even if you're getting a high yield interest rate, then you're still going to lose at the end of the day because you're not beating inflation. But on the flip side to that, if you're putting in $500 or $1,000 a month into that account, you're not beating inflation with the money that's there, but you're beating inflation in terms of contributing to it. So yeah, you're already doing better. So it's not like you shouldn't put money aside. It's not like you shouldn't keep money in your checking account or your savings account if that's what you're doing, is stockpiling it up for later or using it for a particular purpose, like your future retirement or whatever have you. That's already going to put you ahead of the curve. So yeah, the kind of the resistance that I was feeling at the time, and it's tricky to go back and try to remember what I was feeling because that was some time ago. But if, let's just say I wanted to start doing $1,200 a month now, so then the feeling that comes up is, that's way too much. Ooh, I'm not going to be able to do that. That's not going to work. I'm not going to have enough cash flow. My expenses are going to be too high. I'm going to run out of money. My checking account is going to go to zero. I'm going to get overdraft. Like, all these fears all these fears of things that could happen, right? That may potentially happen. And usually in life, and it's not just to do with money here, but usually in life, the thing that you're about to do, that you have a fear about doing, is usually, not always, I'm not going to say always, but is usually the right thing to do at that point in time. It's like walking directly into the fear, not turning away from the fear, not saying, okay, fear, yes, you're right, I'm going to go look somewhere else. I'm not going to look at that, I'm going to go look somewhere else. And if fear was your enemy, then that's exactly what your enemy would want you to do. They would want you to not see the fear for what it really is, which is just an illusion. Fear is just an illusion. There was somebody that said, I think it was Tony Robbins, I think fear is false evidence appearing real. And I think it was Tony Robbins. I remember the saying, but I don't remember who said it. But it was pretty powerful because I had kind of intellectually understood this and I'd heard this a lot. And that was like a very powerful mnemonic device. Is that the right word? To explain what fear is. It's like fear. Okay. So worry, for example, if you're a parent, you might sympathize with this, more so than if you're not a parent, right? But if your child goes out to the movies or something and they take the car and they say they're going to be back by 10, all right, 10 p.m. And then it becomes 10 p.m., it becomes 10:01 p.m., it becomes 10:02 p.m., and you start wondering, well, where is my child, right? And then as time goes on, the fear builds up more and more and more and more. And eventually you get to a point where it's like, and everybody has a different like tolerance, I guess, for fear. But if it becomes 11 o'clock and your child's still not home, then you start freaking out and being like, what if he's dead? What if they died, right? And you try and call them on the phone and they don't pick up. And then you think, oh, he must have gotten kidnapped. Something really, really horrible has happened. And you start making up, not you, but your mind starts going in all these different directions as to what could have possibly happened with your child. And it must be the worst possible thing. Like, you're not going to think at that point in time that, oh, maybe they just decided to watch another movie and they're staying at the movie theater for the length of another movie and they're going to come back, right? I'll just go to sleep and they're fine. Your fear doesn't say everything's going to be okay, or it doesn't come up with like rational explanations for things. It's always going to come up with an explanation that's like clickbait, right? That wants you to get all involved with it and get all worried and scared and think about it more and build up all this fantasy in your head that's not real. And I'm not saying that it can't happen. Like, yeah, if your child is not coming home, it is possible that something bad happened, but more often than not, that's not going to be the case. And the one story that we hear from our friends or on the news or anything like that relates to that situation, that's the thing that we think about. That's how powerful it is. That's the thing that we draw. We don't draw all the other 99.9% of the stories where everything turned out okay. We draw the one that is the worst possible outcome. And that's usually not the case. Like, if everything is a set outcome, like everything is 50-50, I know everything's not 50-50 or whatever, but if everything has a set percentage of probability of happening, you know what I'm trying to say, then that fear that you have is only one scenario out of like millions of other ones, but our minds gives that a much bigger stage time, show time in our minds. The same exact thing with this. I know that was a kind of an extreme example here, but it's the same thing with this. It's exactly the same thing. Everything that I was fearing at that instant in time before I actually went and did the thing, it was all like not real. And none of it none of it has happened as so far, right? In the 2 months that this thing has been active, nothing has happened. And in fact, now I'm thinking I can even make it go higher, right? So I've proved the fear wrong once, and now that I've proved the fear wrong once, now I'm like, okay, well, if I do more, then that fear is probably not going to be true either, right? And the thing is, you can always adjust it. You can always change it. You can always adjust the machinery. You can close the valve a little bit or open up the valve a little bit. Like, for example, if I had started with 400, and, of course, I know that now I could do easily 600. But if I had started with 400 and said, okay, that's it, that's all I'm going to do, still would have had the same fears. But instead of putting 600 down to paying my debt, I only would have been putting 400. And if 600 was too much, after 1 month, I can be like, okay, I'm going to adjust it down to 400. But for 1 month, I put 600 into it, and then I'm going down to 400. Whereas if I had stayed at 400, that's $200 that I'm not getting a 17% return on. You see how that works? And even if I did adjust from 400 to 600, when you're paying credit cards, go watch the credit card videos to understand why. It's not as efficient as doing it the other way around, right? So yeah, that's it. And now I'm thinking, like, even while I'm making this, I can make this number go up more, because if I adjust a little bit more and do the balance transfer over, so I'm not going to pay that interest, then I have that extra to put into there. So yeah, that's it. That's it for this one. I don't think there's anything else that I really wanted to talk about now, but yeah, look forward to some more mindset videos. All right. Goodbye, guys.